Good morning, everybody. So, this is your Wit and Wisdom video lesson for Tuesday, February 9th. And we are on lesson 13 today, day 13 in module 3. This is our last day with these two texts. And then tomorrow on Wednesday, we're going to move to a new book. So, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to watch the video with Miss Sabella. It's a pretty short video today. All right, make sure you have your knowledge and response journal in case we need it. And here we go.
Welcome back, incredible thinkers. I'm Sue Sabella, your Great Minds teacher. Let's see what we need for today. Today, you'll need your journal and your pencil. So please pause here to gather what you need and just hit play when you're ready to continue. Today, we're going to have the opportunity to behave just like historians by examining language and words and also historical photographs. Are you ready? I am. Please read the essential question to yourself and then we'll read it together. How can people respond to injustice? Dr. King had a dream for the world, and you've been learning so much about the dream that he had for children, for people, and for the nation as a whole. His dream and his words had an impact on how people responded to injustices. Let's take a closer look at some other words by a poet named Langston Hughes. I'd like you to pause here to read the poem to yourself, and please take your time. You can even read it more than once. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so I'm going to read it to you first, and then I want you to try to read it back to yourself, okay? There are words like freedom, sweet and wonderful to say. On my heartstrings, freedom sings all day, every day. I have a dream today. There are words like liberty that almost make me cry. If you had known what I know, you would know why. Now I want you to try to read it to yourself.
I'm going to read the first stanza of the poem out loud, and as I do, I want you to keep this question in mind. Which word is sweet and wonderful to say? Ready? Here we go. There are words like freedom, sweet and wonderful to say. On my heartstrings, freedom sings all day, every day. I have a dream today. Which word is sweet and wonderful to say? Point to it on the screen. Freedom sure is a sweet and wonderful word to say. Now, let's take a look at the next stanza in the poem. As I read this stanza aloud, I want you to keep this question in mind. Which word almost makes the author cry? Ready? Here we go. There are words like liberty that almost make me cry. If you had known what I know, you would know why. Which word almost makes the author cry? Point to it on the screen. The word liberty almost makes Langston Hughes cry. But liberty and freedom are sweet words to hear, but they can also make some people want to cry. If you do not have freedom or liberty, it could make you very sad. Let's take a closer look at the words liberty and freedom to see how they're similar and how they're a bit different. Since liberty and freedom mean very similar things, let's take a look at their definitions and think through the definitions of each word closely so we can understand how they're slightly different. Liberty means the right to act as one chooses. A right is something that's given to you. It's guaranteed. It means that you should have it. Freedom is the ability to act and speak as one wants. If you're able, you have power. So when I think about freedom, I think about the power one would have to act and speak as one wants. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 helped protect people's rights, so they had freedom or the power to choose how to speak, to go where they wanted to go, and to do what they wanted to do. Please pause here to grab your journal and your pencil and add these words and definitions to your journal. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so you do not need to do this because you already have the word liberty and the word freedom in your vocabulary journal, or you should already have it in your vocabulary journal because it was one of your vocabulary words for the last two texts. So we're not going to do this part. We're just going to keep going.
Now that we've had a chance to think more deeply about the words liberty and freedom, I'd like you to stop and jot to answer this question on the screen. Why would words like freedom and liberty make someone almost cry? Pause here to stop and jot in your journal and just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so we are going to be on page 130 today, 130. We're going to put today's date on the top, which is 2-9. And then we are going to write that question on the top. Oops, we're going to write stop and jot first. So stop and jot. And then we're going to write that question. Why would words like freedom and liberty make someone almost cry? Okay, so we're going to write stop and jot on the top, put today's date on the top. You're going to write the question, and then you're going to answer the question. Remember, this is your opinion about why you think words like freedom and liberty would make someone almost cry. Think about what we have learned so far about the struggles that Dr. King and others tried to overcome, and about slavery, what we know about slavery. And think about all these people who never had freedom and liberty. Why would those words make someone almost cry? Okay. You're going to answer that one question on page 130. And then you're going to take a picture of it for me today so that I can read your response. Okay. All right, so let's get back to, I would like for you to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so you pause the video, Respond to the question in your journal and then hit play when you're ready to continue. Okay.
Pause here to take a stretch break and just hit play when you're ready to continue. Just like historians examine the words used by historical figures, they also examine documents like photographs. By examining this photograph closely, your knowledge grew. Your knowledge grew about the march from Selma to Montgomery, and your knowledge also grew about art. What do we know about this image now that we have examined it closely? Pause here to tell a learning partner or to jot your thinking in your journal. Feel free to use the sentence starter at the bottom of the screen. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so we're not going to stop and jot in our journal for this. I just need you to think about it and tell your learning partner what we know about this image since we have examined it closely. What have you learned? What do we know about this? Think about the video that I showed you last week, and I talked about why this picture was important. So think about that, and I want you to tell your learning partner. And if you don't have a learning partner, I'm going to turn my video on. So you're going to pause the video, answer the question. You can tell it to me on the screen, and then just hit play when you're ready to continue.
You might have noticed that the photographer chose to stand far away in order to include the space around the protesters and also the stormy sky. We noticed that the photographer used dark and light values to show what is important, like the clouds and the people. We also know that it shows a group of people standing up for their rights, even in a dangerous situation. And finally, we also know that the line of marchers appear between the earth and the sky. Each person contributes or adds to the event, but no one person stands out as the star. It is a group effort, a community effort. What makes this image strong or powerful? I'd like you to chat with a learning partner or jot down your thinking. Please feel free to use the sentence starter at the bottom of the screen. It says, "This image is strong and powerful because." Pause here to examine the photograph closely again and to share your thinking with a learning partner or in your journal. And just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. You're not going to stop and jot in your journal. You're going to look at the image, think about the question that it's asking. Why is that image strong and powerful? And I want you to use the sentence starter to answer the question. If you do not have a learning partner with you, then you can pause the video and tell me. I'll be on the screen. And then when you guys are done, just hit play to resume.
You might have said that this image is strong and powerful because there's a long line of people, and that makes it seem powerful and strong. You may have also said that this image is strong and powerful because there's a flag in the middle and it shows pride for the United States. Now I'd like you to use your artist's eyes and thinking. What knowledge of art do we have as we look at this photograph? I'd like you to chat about that with your learning partner or jot down your thinking in your journal. Please feel free to use the sentence starter at the bottom of the screen. Pause here to look at this work of art through the eyes of an artist, and just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so an example, I know that question is a little bit confusing. So the question is, what knowledge of art do we have as we look at this photograph? Well, here's an example is that we know that where the photographer is standing and how he or she is holding the camera can affect the point of view. Remember we talked about how the point of view of this photograph would be different if the photographer were standing on the same level as the people. Instead, he's below them looking up. It would look different if he were above them looking down. So the important part of the photograph is that his point of view would be changed if he was in a different position. So that's an example. So what are some other things, other knowledge of art that you have learned about that that we need to have as we look at this photograph? So you're going to tell your learning partner, think about it, tell your partner. If you don't have a partner, just tell me on the screen and then hit play when you are ready to finish up.
You might have said that we know that where photographers stand and how they hold their camera can affect their point of view. We also know that artists use space to show what is important in their work. If you have permission and you're able to practice taking some photographs, please give it a try. Try standing in one place and then another. Try to incorporate the colors in the room or around the area that you're photographing. Think about it through the eyes of an artist and also through the eyes of an historian. Give it a try, and also think about how your knowledge has grown about art. Your knowledge is growing leaps and bounds, and I'm so proud of you. I'll see you again soon, my friends.
Okay, so that was the end of today's video lesson. So the only thing that you are going to do for me today for work is you're going to make sure that you have answered the question on page 130, the stop and jot about the words freedom and liberty, and you're going to take a picture of that page and post it onto the Google Classroom. And that's all that I've got for you today. And tomorrow you will be getting more vocabulary words and you'll be getting a new fluency homework page, and we'll be starting a new text. So Wednesday's going to be a busy day. So I hope you guys have a great afternoon, and I will see you later.